Well, I am so excited for this one. This is an interview I've been trying to get for about 2 years, and the only interview she's ever done. So stick around to the end. Ava is a huge influencer, makes some of the best plant-based food I've ever seen. She makes it look fun, delicious. She's glowing. She doesn't really share this much, but she's in her 50s, which is insane. One of my family members who met her was like, "You've got to be kidding me. I thought she was in her 30s." And she's just such a good person. And she reversed her fibromyalgia and just has a great story sharing where it's not all about food, too. So let's hop into it. How are you, my dear friend? I love you so much. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. But I
Yeah,
am still 25. I
exactly.
refuse to say 50.
See, because the words we say, they create our reality, and it's really important what we talk, how we speak, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I feel 25. I have not changed. My mindset is still, I have the energy of 25. I feel 25. So why should I be saying that I'm 50, right? So
Yeah, that's like Dr. Elizabeth Lambert. She's been on the channel. She's, I think, probably getting into her late 60s now, mid 60s. She is so energetic, vibing high, and she always says, I'm young. I'm like, she is like that too. And okay, so take us back so we can connect a little bit more. I want to start with your story because everybody has a story that led them down this path. And many times it's because they were on the opposite path before. So we would
mhm.
love to hear sort of what led you to the plant-based life and what happened when you started eating differently.
Well, it really all started for me when I was 19 years old. I actually had ulcers at that age. So I ended up seeing doctors after doctors after doctors. And, finally I changed the diet a little bit, from eating a little bit more processed foods to
Mm.
obviously clean foods. So I was eating more of that. Stay away from all fried foods at that time because I had ulcers. So no juices, no pops, no fried food, and I ended up eating much healthier. So yes, that
Yeah.
also went away pretty quickly. So, and I did some cabbage juice at that time too, which definitely helps ulcers. So that went away pretty quickly. And I was young, I was 19, so it's easier to heal at that time. But obviously, I took a lot of steps to heal at that time. I always had some digestive issues. I was diagnosed with IBS at a young age. I was always bloated. A lot of people would always comment, right? And it's just not very nice. But you start feeling like there's something wrong with you, right? So you start putting that in your head, like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. And the stress builds up. And through all those years, I felt like I was building up like a chronic stress, right? Because you constantly worry and you're going to see a doctor and they diagnose you with new things, right? So I was diagnosed later on with fibromyalgia, and that was in 2017. And I was devastated. I was totally devastated. I had no idea how to heal, and I was told that there's no cure. There's no they don't even know how fibromyalgia happens. So
And wait,
uh,
sorry, one sec to interrupt. I try never
mhm.
to interrupt, but for anybody who doesn't know, what is fibromyalgia?
So it's a chronic condition that causes widespread pain and fatigue. You have a problem sleeping. It's all in your muscles and your joints. You got a lot of aches. Some people have tingling in the body. So like I had it in my face, my muscles, so sleeping was definitely really hard. Some people have digestive issues, so very sensitive to pain. So my digestion was totally messed up. I actually was the way I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I went to a gastroenterologist, and he was checking my stomach. And the moment he touched my stomach very lightly, I was in so much pain. And so he says, I think you have fibromyalgia. And I was like, what? So then
Wow.
I went to my doctor, and she sent me to a specialist to make sure that it is what he actually said. So, and of course, I was diagnosed with that. But then I went home crying, and I was just like, oh my God, like this is unreal. This is not happening. Like there has to be a cure. Everyone, I mean, our body is designed to heal, right? I don't think our body was ever against us if we give the right condition to our body. your body can heal, right? But if we don't give the right condition to our bodies, our body is just gonna try to protect you. And it's the only reason that's causing pain is because it's trying to distract you from your emotional feelings. So, like according to John Sarno, which I actually got his book, it's called Divided Mind. And John Sarno believed that fibromyalgia is caused by physical problem in the body. So, but rather than repress emotions such as anger, anxiety, and internal pressure. So the brain creates like pain and distractions from these uncomfortable situations, like feelings, right? So it's always trying to protect you from it. That's what he believed. And I mean, there's so much detail in his book. I would totally highly recommend reading his book because I learned so much. And one of the things that he recommends in his book was to actually do an exercise. And the exercise involves writing everything from your childhood until your adulthood in point form to address all the traumas, your any anxiety, any issues that you had growing up until adulthood, which we all do, right? Like we
Yeah.
all have friends, family members, whoever kind of said something that hurt you. That's part of the trauma in a way where you store that emotion in your body and your body reacts to it. It's like, you know, when you in your 20s, 30s, you actually don't feel any emotions, but when you start having kids or when you get older, things pop out, right?
Yeah, that's been the
Things,
case with me too. Yeah.
right? And things pop out like out of nowhere, right? You start thinking, oh my God, yeah, I remember this happened when I was younger. Oh, that really hurt me. Oh, I remember this. Or my mom said something, or my dad said something, right? Or your siblings, or whoever, right? Any friends, right? And
Hmm.
so and if we don't deal with those feelings and we just keep holding them, it's almost like they just keep hunting you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to address them. And by me, like what I did from his exercise, that I wrote it in point form, and every point form I wrote it like a little essay, and about like a paragraph, right? A paragraph about the feelings, how it made me feel, what I felt, like the anxiety, anger, or sadness, whatever. I mean, there's so much more that he says in the book, about the exercise. So I don't really want to say it too much, but because it's best to read the book to really learn so you can address it properly. But that moment, I mean, I really dedicated myself for 2 months to write down every single day some, you know, feelings that were popping out. And I addressed them for 2 months. And within 2 months, like my body aches totally almost disappear. Okay. Except my digestion. My digestion was still really messed up, but the muscle aches, the joint pain, it was like gone. And I was like, hold on a second. Is it the diet? Because at the same time, I changed my diet to a vegan lifestyle. So I was like, okay, is it diet or is it me writing it down? But what I noticed that because my digestion was still messed up, so I'm thinking, okay, it can be only that vegan lifestyle. It must have been the things I already addressed. Because the moment I addressed them, I felt lighter. I felt like, okay, well, that's gone. I addressed that. I dealt with that situation. I mean, don't get me wrong. What's good about writing it down is that you bring those feelings back, which makes you sad, makes you angry, you know makes you cry, right? But we need that, we need to address them, because crying is good to get rid of all that stress and emotions, right? So I personally felt like that was more of a change for me when it comes to fibromyalgia than actually the diet. Because
Wow. Unbelievable, eh?
yes, because diet is one thing. Sure, we can eat as healthy as possible. We can eat the cleanest food and juicing and water fasting. There's just so many things that people do. And I've done them too. Don't get me wrong. I've done,
Yeah.
juice cleanse. I mean, I only done it for 5 days. So I'm not going to say that, oh my gosh, like, yeah, juice cleanse, because it's not
Yeah.
enough. I would say it's not enough. You possibly maybe have to do it for, you know, 30 days to really see a huge difference in digestion. So 5 days is definitely not enough. But I was eating very healthy. I was eating very clean. I mean, vegan lifestyle. I ate raw food for like a month, right, to see the difference in my digestion, but it wasn't changing much. Sure, it definitely was. I had a lot of food sensitivities, right? So I was allergic to mango, and I haven't ate mango for 14
Mm.
years.
There's a big
But
mango tree behind me.
oh my God, I wish I had it now. I love mango. And so I was devastated because mango was one of my favorite fruits. And so I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I can't have mango. But every time I would have it, I would swell up in my inside and I would go on fire. And it was just like, there's no way I could have it. So when I changed it to vegan lifestyle, and I had it for about, I don't know, for a year, I definitely been vegan for a year, and then all of a sudden my body just say have a mango, and I was like, what, really, have a mango? I'm like, I don't know, 14 years no mango, I'm not sure if I want to do that. But anyways, I had mango, and oh my God, like I just ate and waited about 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, there's no reaction, okay, I guess I'm okay. So
Wow, probably because you changed your gut, right? Because before I went raw, I had some allergies and problems with certain foods too. And then I noticed after about a year or two trying those foods again, that I had no reaction. And then some people told me it's because it's a gut thing, a microbiome thing. So maybe it was that. So then after
yeah.
a year, would you say everything was like everything physically and inside was like pretty much reversed after like a year? You were in great health?
No,
No.
no. And that's the one thing that I want to say, because sure, the muscle aches, the joint pain, that was gone. That was really gone because I was working so hard on all my feelings, more my traumas and everything. So that was really gone. But what I noticed, the digestion, it took a few years, right?
Wow, no way.
But in the meantime, when I was, like I said, I only did 5 day juicing, and I did juice every single day. I had the celery juice, but truly celery juice, I did it for a whole year
Hmm.
religiously every single day. That
Hmm.
wasn't really doing anything for my digestion. It was still, I felt more bloated after drinking celery juice. It did kind of tame down the pain, but it didn't take it away. So, anyways, I continue with juicing every day, but then I switch it to different juices. I start doing more herbs, adding herbs to the juices, because I find that celery juice, like, okay, it's great. It's an herb as well, but it's not, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. Again,
Hmm.
everyone is different. For some people, it will work. For me, it wasn't enough. So I introduced more herbs into it. So I drank more green juices in the morning. So that was my kind of thing when I started doing. And then I was still eating pretty healthy, and I was doing raw until 4. So I was always raw until 4. And I'm still am right now too, on and off. Like, I mean, if I go out with my friends, I'll have some cooked food for lunch, but mostly I'm trying to be raw all day and then cook foods for dinner. But what I noticed the most was that when I was always doing meditation. Meditation was on and off for me. But then when I went to Joe Dispenza, as you know, I went to his retreat in September last year. And since then, I've been doing meditation daily, every single day, sometimes twice a day, most of the time twice a day. But sometimes I just do once a day, and that's okay. But I noticed when I was at his retreat, my digestion issues were gone. And
Wow. I think they're so tied to like our emotion and our stress and stuff, right? Our digestion. That's crazy. And I know how
yeah,
positive that retreat was for you because I remember you telling
oh
me. No
my
way. I
God.
didn't know that. That's unreal.
Yeah, I actually had some issues with my knees before I went there. And my girlfriend that was with me, my best friend, it's so funny because one day I got up and I was so stiff to move forward because my knees were so in so much pain. It was just from exercising. I overdid. I was trying to do splits. And I know at my age, I'm doing splits. And so I was training and I developed something in the back of my knees that I don't know. It was pain in the butt to get rid of. And the moment I went to Joe Dispenza's retreat and I was getting up and the first day I was stiff, but the second day I got up and I started walking normal. I was like, I didn't even notice until my friend was just like, "Hey, you walking?" I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I have no pain." I'm like, "Oh my God." But
What?
anyways, my point to that is because of the meditation, and we did like, I don't know, there was possibly about 5 hours of meditation there or something like that. It was just a lot of meditation, but I don't know, my body felt amazing. My digestion was gone. And one thing I want to mention is I think it's when we go on holidays too, right? Like, you know, think of the holidays you've been on, right? Like I know I when I go to Europe or any other holidays, my whole body is just so relaxed, right? Like it
True.
just feels incredible, right? And like my digestion is great, everything is great because we don't have the worries. We are relaxed, we are connected to nature, we are grounding with the sand, the water, right? Like, I mean, we are so, I feel like we are so disconnected when we are home, right? And
Hmm.
plus the stresses come, like, your bills, your work, and your families, and all this stuff. So
Hmm.
there's always more stress. So I find that every time I went on a holiday, I always felt better. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm on the holiday, I'm meditating. And so, of course, I'm going to feel amazing. But then I came home and I continue the meditation daily. And my digestion is still amazing. Like it's just so incredible.
Oh.
So it showed me, I learned something from this retreat that the meditation, it really is. I think it's because we live in a fight and flight mode all
Hmm.
the time, I
Hmm.
find, right? And
And we
and yeah,
hold a
so
lot of that, like when we're stressed, a lot of that fight and flight and all that is like in our stomach, like in our digestive area, like those emotions and the resistance and stuff, right?
exactly. Everybody holds it in the different places, right? But most people holds it in the stomach or the chest, right? And for me, it was digestion, right? Like it's just, and I think it's just because again, because of all the diagnoses you get from doctors when you're young, and it started with me at 19 years old. I was constantly diagnosed with this. I was diagnosed with GERD. I was diagnosed with acid reflux, and every single thing. And I took medication for acid reflux. It did not work. So I just want to mention that because it did not work. And people say, "Well, you have to take something." Well, not really. If you if you make sure that you eat properly, you exercise, you do breathing exercises or meditation, it definitely, because I personally think my acid reflux was strictly from stress, right? I was
Wow.
holding way too much, in my gut. And I personally never really addressed my traumas from my childhood, from daily life, right? And none of us really do unless we really sit down with ourselves and we address those issues, then you start seeing a huge difference, right?
See, so you think even if someone's eating like a perfect plant-based or really clean diet, if they're holding on to a lot of stuff and a lot of anger and a lot of trauma stuff, like maybe they could still develop like really serious things like the C word or like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yes, because think about it. I mean, I have a lot of clients when I was coaching where they would say, "Well, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating all the healthy food. I'm eating clean vegan diet, and I'm still having those issues because those issues were not addressed, right? Those
Mm.
issues are still there, and they pop out once in a while, but you think there are, you once in a while it's okay. That's what you think, but that actually they are stored in your body wherever you're holding the stress, and it will always pop out even at 50, 60, 70 years old, it will pop out
So
if you don't address them.
if things pop up for you now, because I know you put in all that work for like those 2 months, but I know even like all the stuff that happens that's traumatic, it's not just from our childhood too. I know that's like the biggest chunk of it, but still, even like this year, I've been since my parents passed through so much insane trauma. And so things still pop up. So how do you face those things when they come up now so that you can just process them like quickly, you know?
So what I do, if something really pops out, I write it down. I always write it down. So I will write it down and I will write about it, how I felt, what it makes me feel like, what I feel. And I just that's what I do. I always do that, right? Like, people say, "Oh, but if you write it down, someone gonna see it. Some of the family members, if they don't want to see it, just
Who
tear it
cares? Write
down.
it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Or throw it in the garbage, whatever you want to do."
Yeah.
But it's like I have no, you know, I'm pretty open. You know that, right? I'm
Yeah.
pretty open with my husband and my friends. So even see, I find that talking about it, you think it's gonna help, right? And I'm not gonna say like therapy is amazing. I think everybody should see a therapist. Like, I mean, if you have issues, go see a therapist. I think it's
Hmm.
amazing. I have a very good friend who's a therapist and she's incredible. She has also helped me, just talking to me, and she's incredible. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the thing is, sometimes for me, personally for me, I find that when I went to a therapist, and yes, it was great that day. I talk about my issues. It was great. I went home. I felt good for like a few days. And then all of a sudden, it's back again. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, why is it back? I talk about this to my therapist. Why is it still here? Well, because you have to deal with it. It's
Hmm.
not your therapist. Your therapist will help you, guide you, and everything. But you need to address that somehow, right? And how do you address it? In my opinion, like Dr. John Sarno
Yeah.
in his book, write it down, And for me personally, works incredible. I write it down because I can see the thing is when you're writing it down, more things come up, right?
Hmm.
But when you see a therapist, you might only remember some things
True.
about that issue, but you're not going to say everything, whether you don't want to because you're not comfortable, right? Or you just forgot. And so when you're at home, you tend to write down a lot more than you would tell the therapist. So I find that when I write it down, then it's great. I'm like, okay, well, I addressed that. It's all gone. Now I'm okay. Now,
Mm.
so that's one thing that I do, but I also meditate. I meditate
Yeah,
and
and that's a
I
game changer, it sounds like. And the writing down, it makes me realize how powerful it is to write things down. And when I was a kid, I used to journal all the time. And I know my mom did too,
mhm.
because she passed away. I found her journals, but I used to journal all the time when I was a kid. And I don't ever remember like getting really angry about things. And then I stopped journaling. Like I haven't journaled in like 20 years. And maybe it is really therapeutic. Like you're really making me realize I should get back into it because it does do something to like write it down.
I mean, think about it. We always write down things for work, right? Or, you have to do some kind of planning, right? Like you have
Hmm.
to write your point forms for whatever you do. And that helps you. What does it do? It
Hmm.
actually release like the pressure in your head because you're kind of thinking, oh, come on, if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget this, I'm going to forget that. I'm not going to address this topic, right? Like, when you
Yeah.
do your interviews, right? So it's the same idea with your personal life. I mean,
Yeah.
why don't we do this more often? When we do it for work, why can't we do it for ourselves? And, but, you have to find a balance, I find. Like, for me, writing it down is amazing. Meditation is incredible. So I find that when I meditate, the fears disappear, right?
Wow. That's a
I
big
mean,
thing. Hmm.
think about it. How many times I mean, we fear about everything, every single thing. We fear about, daily life. Someone said something, now you worry about this problem and that problem, right? So there's always, oh, news. You listen to the news and it's constantly bombarded with,
Hmm. Fear, fear,
negative,
fear. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
negative stuff. So you constantly now you worry about this and that, right? Like there's just so much of it. So I find when I meditate, I just find I don't know, I just release all the fear, whatever you have that you have to deal with. And I find
Yeah.
it very balancing for me. And I don't know, I just since meditation, I have to say I feel I don't know, more alive, more peaceful within me. I don't know. I just look at life differently, you
And
know?
I think it's anti-aging. Like I'm sure it's the food too, but like you really just have this peace
You're
and
so
good
cute.
aura about you and you're glowing. And do you think that would be the case if you didn't like change your lifestyle? So what was it now? I guess almost 10 years ago. Or how many years ago?
7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7. So if you didn't change your lifestyle, you didn't get into the meditation and all this too, like where do you think you'd be today?
I would be a mess. I would totally be a mess. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. I would possibly have even more different conditions, right? I mean, I was diagnosed with, you know, like I said, fibromyalgia, gerd, acid reflux, IBS. Yeah, I think those were the main ones that food sensitivities, that was a huge one too,
Hmm.
because I actually, before I became vegan, I was only eating meat, vegetables, and berries. I could not tolerate any other fruits. I
No
would,
way.
yeah, I would have like itchy mouth from eating apples, mangoes. I reacted, I was burning and I would swell up, so I could not have that one at all. There's just a lot of fruits that I would react to it. So I only ate berries, vegetables, and meat. I didn't have grains would be gluten free because I was told I had IBS. So I kind of changed. I'm like, okay, no more of wheat, right? So I stopped eating wheat. I did not have dairy because I was lactose intolerant since I was a young kid. So I stopped eating dairy for a long time. So really, if you think about it, it wasn't a drastic change for me going from, from
Hmm.
meat eating to vegan lifestyle. I only remove eggs, meat. That's it. Eggs
Hmm.
and meat, right?
Yeah.
Because everything else was already gone from my diet. But interesting enough, I want to say that when I was at the meditation for a week at Dr. Joe Dispenza, he mentions that the food is not an issue. Obviously, he's not talking about unhealthy food. He's talking about good diet, right? Healthy eating, right? He recommends that healthy eating. He's not talking about like, eat your junk and you should be okay, right? No, he's
Yeah.
talking about healthy food.
Yeah.
But when he was talking about it, I just, something hit in me and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have some wheat on this trip, right? And I ate some wheat. I had whatever bread or whatever that was. And I did not react. I did not swell up. I did not, I was fine. I did not have stomach ache, nothing, right? So then it kind of told me, I'm like, maybe he's right. Maybe, all the food that we think is an issue. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, a lot of people talk about the glyphosate in wheat, right? Like everything is sprayed these days. So I get it.
Yeah.
I don't say you should be eating whatever. I'm just saying that I just tried it for myself because I wanted to test myself. I wanted to see, hey, is he really right or not? I'm like, I'm gonna test myself, right?
Wow.
So, it's you gotta, I don't know. That's just me. I always trying to try new things, right?
Yeah,
Just
and
to
stories like that, it just shows people that like they're not necessarily stuck where they are. Because I know sometimes if you get a diagnosis or if you have an allergy or something's happening, you kind of feel like, oh, it's going to be this way forever. I don't know the solution. I don't know the way out of this. And so that's why I love stories like this because it shows like you were like maybe all these things were like a blessing that happened because now it's like propelled you to an area that's like the opposite and like so much better and even better than ever, right?
exactly. And it's so true because see, when you have diagnosis with from doctors, right away, what happens? You start fearing everything. You stop eating this and that because you're like, oh, he says don't have wheat, don't have dairy, right? So, and I'm not saying you should be eating dairy because I personally don't like dairy because it causes a lot of mucus for me.
Hmm.
But I find the fear that builds up in us and you, like you said, people stop eating things and there's now they having this anger that they will never be able to eat this again, right? And it was like me, like, oh my God, I can't have mango. What do you mean I can't have mango? I want to eat it so badly, right?
And maybe it's
And I
destructive, that fear. It just made me think because like You know, if you read a lot of these books like Conversation with God, or you think about spirituality, or if you believe in God, I don't know if you do, if not, either way.
Of
But
course I do.
it's just, I feel like I've seen a lot of things that say every decision we have is based out of fear or love. And I feel like our true nature is just love. So if we're so based in fear, like we're really out of alignment and we're not really in our true source energy and our true self, right? And like that godly space. And then maybe that can be destructive.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah, totally is. I mean, you don't focus
Mm.
on anything else but your worries, right? Like, your conditions that you have or that you were diagnosed with or, all those issues, right? So yeah, I definitely personally for me it's a life changing when I start doing the writing it down and the meditation. I mean, the food, the diet is a life changing for me as well. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's amazing because being vegan, I mean, I don't see myself going back. I mean, I love vegetables and fruits, so this is
Yeah, and
like a
even with
blessing.
your life changing so much with the meditation and everything, like that being said, seeing how important the emotional stuff is, I haven't seen you still like be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna start eating KFC and Taco Bell because it's all meditation emotion. You still do live like a really healthy, high vibe, beautifully healthy lifestyle. Like honestly, I've been to your house a few times and you're so welcoming. You have the beautiful garden in your backyard where you grow vegetables, herbs. You have an amazing YouTube channel. I'll link it down below. Everybody go follow
Thank
Ava.
you.
It's so good. Viral videos on sprouts and all these other things. And you prepare the most beautiful food I've ever seen. So,
Thank
how have
you.
you made the plant-based lifestyle work over all these years? And you make it work for your whole family. So, and how do you make it fun and interesting? And like, how can people be successful with that like you are?
I try, I just cook whatever I like and what my family will like, and they all enjoy it.
I think they even say in the blue zones where they do eat some meat. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's just like once or twice a week max, I think.
Yes, that's
And
what I
just a
heard. Yeah,
small portion. Not like it's really,
exactly.
really exaggerated these days in a lot of cases, not everybody, but you see like, bacon for breakfast with some eggs and then lunch, have a huge piece of meat, dinner, a huge piece of meat. It's like
Yeah.
take it easy.
Yes. Yeah. And the same with our house. It's like if my husband wants a meat, he will cook it once a week or whatever it is. But I mostly cook everything vegan. So they enjoy it. I mean, we make a lot of salads and pastas and whatever, right? So
I know they enjoy it. They've told me. They've told me they're lucky that you're cooking in that kitchen because your food's amazing. You're such a
thank
chef.
you. Yeah. Well, I love cooking. I always love cooking since I was a little kid. My grandma was a big part of my growing up, and I always watch her cooking, so I definitely got some of her
And the
traits
plant
for sure.
the plant-based lifestyle, it's not boring, right? Like, do you find you're bored and do you feel like you feel healthy? You don't feel like you're missing like nutritional stuff after all these years?
Gosh, no, never. I mean, all plants have protein, right? And fruits have protein, right? Maybe you don't have it as much, but that depends what you eat, right? Like, I mean, beans are high in protein, right? If you are eating cooked foods, that's not an issue. But I know like you and other raw vegan people, they eat a lot of salads, which, salads have protein as well.
And sprouts.
And so
Yeah.
is sprouts, and sprouts are huge, high in protein, and so
Hmm.
is nuts and seeds. If you make your dressings right from nuts and seeds, those are great to add to your salads and all your dishes, right? I mean, pasta, you can, instead of dairy, you can put it, you can make it cashew cheese, right? Like, I mean, there's just so many variety of nutrients in the foods that we eat that you're not lacking anything. I mean, look, I've been 7 years vegan. You've been how long is it for you
So
now?
2016 September I started. So yeah,
So there
9 years,
you
I guess, this fall, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
go.
And it's
Right,
just
right?
right when I tried, like the first day I went fully raw, I was like, oh my gosh. Like by the afternoon or the end of the first day, I felt like just, oh, whoa, this is how I was supposed to feel. Like I've never felt like this in 33 or 32 years, whatever it was. And then I was like, whoa, like it was such an insane difference in the way I felt. It was crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, like, for me, it's the same. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm lacking anything. Right.
Hmm.
So, and I'm still here and I'm
Yeah.
doing fine. I have to say, a lot healthier today than I have been in my 20s. So for me, it's a huge difference. Like, I feel incredible. That's why I always say I'm 25 because I feel incredible. And in your 20s, I mean, even though I had ulcer, I still had more energy. I was good. I was pretty healthy then, except the ulcer and the IBS. But today, I have to say, at my age, I feel incredible. I
Yeah, me
have
too. I feel better now
energy,
too than I did in
right?
my 20s. And do you think there's any foods like you really do look drastically younger? I'm not just saying that to
You're so
like
sweet.
compliment or be fake. Like you actually genuinely do. Do you think there's certain foods that attribute to that or certain parts of your lifestyle?
I definitely think the salads, the juices, I love juicing and I love making the herb juices, like the green juices with herbs. It's like my favorite thing to do because I find that gives me a lot of energy, iron, right? Like I mean, there's just so much nutrients in that green power there. So the green juices for sure, all the salads. I always feel much better eating salads than I eat cooked foods, right? Period.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a potato lover. I love potatoes. But every time I have potatoes, I feel heavier, right? But when I eat big salads, and I'm talking like not a small salad. If my meal is just a salad, it will be a big salad. And I would bring it to my friends and they're like, "You're gonna eat that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat the whole thing." And I eat the whole thing and I'm so full because people don't realize that you have to eat when you become raw vegan or the way I do it, raw until four. I have to have a big salad.
yeah,
Otherwise, it will not fill me up,
yeah.
right? And then you start looking for other foods to eat because you're lacking, the volume, the nutrition, right?
True.
And so it's very important to eat big amounts of it,
Yeah.
right?
And I know you mentioned potatoes. So I do know you love potatoes. Did you not do like a potato cleanse way back? Am I thinking wrong? I thought I remember you telling me once, did
I
you not do
did.
like 30 days of eating only potatoes?
Yes. So that was at the beginning of my journey in 2017. I did, I did bananas. So I did 1 month of bananas only.
You did 1 month.
And
That's one cleanse I tried once. I think I only got to day 2 or 3. And I just any other cleanses like watermelon or grapes or juices, I can go like a month. But the bananas, I was like, I cannot eat one more banana. So
yeah.
props to you for doing a month. How was that?
So I found that I was constantly hungry. So that's the only thing for me. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I guess, I mean, it is because, you heard of the mono diet, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people do mono diets. So, I mean, when you're desperate and you're healing, and I was in so much pain. I mean, so much pain. I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat anything. Like my digestive system was so sensitive to a point where even drinking water was hurting me. I was like burning inside out. Like it was painful. So I was like, okay, well, some people talking about mono diet. I'll just give it a try. I'll try it for a month, see how it goes. So I did the bananas. And like I said, I was hungry. I was still feeling pain in my stomach. It wasn't that easy. But I guess I had to try it for myself to say, I've done it. Because if I don't, this is what I want to also say, you can't give up, right? Because when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, the doctor says there's no cure, you will be like this forever. So there's medication, therapy, exercise, right? Like, so they tell you that could help with fibromyalgia. But obviously, I did not want to go the route of taking medication because my digestive system was already so messed up. So the last thing I want to do is take a medication. So when I came home, I start searching, and that's when I came across Dr. John Sarno, and and he gave me hope, right?
Mm,
He gave me hope of, you know what? You gotta try it. You gotta write it down. So I did that work. Then I changed my diet, right? So what I'm saying is like, don't give up. Try everything you can, right? Bef- Before you take medication. Because I mean, you don't want to take medication for the rest of your life either, right?
no.
And be in pain and depend on medication. Because I don't, to be honest, I hear some people do take medication for it and it doesn't work.
My
either,
dad was
right?
taking a lot of medication. My dad just passed away at 74.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I think
sorry.
he told me last year when I was at his house with all his pills, he was taking something like 829 pills a month, like total with everything. I was just like, this is insane. And he wasn't in his case. Like, I know sometimes medicines are like necessary, but in his case, it just wasn't. It was just, it might treat one thing and then it was giving him five other problems. And then it was just a circle that was just, I mean, it's not to me, that's not living your best life, right?
No.
So props to you again for like finding another path that was right for you, you know?
Yes, just like I said, that's why I like to try everything. And at the beginning, I was trying. So I did the 1 month of the bananas. Then I did switch it. I'm like, okay, if the banana's not working, I heard, there was a one guy, I forgot his name, but he's an Australian guy, and he did
Durian rider?
one,
No.
I'm not sure, but he did 1 year of eating potatoes.
Oh, no way. I think I've heard of this. I've heard of this guy. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
1 year? Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so when I actually read his story, I was like, okay, well, if he did it 1 year, I'm like, I'm just gonna do a month and see what happens. I think he healed his depression. It was depression and something else there. So, and he lost a bunch of weight as well, I think. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. Potatoes come next. So I did potatoes and I felt good. I mean, because I guess they were cooked, they were a little bit easy to digest, right? Now, when I say that easy to digest, because people think that cooked foods are easy to digest, but I'm not gonna say that's actually true. What happens is because they are cooked, they are easy on the stomach, but it takes longer to digest.
And you're just
Okay.
having the one food. So it's different if you're throwing all different foods in. When you're just like mono eating, I mean, from my experience, when I've done that, it's like the best digestion of life when I just do the mono eating.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying like, like it's good to definitely try the mono diet. It could improve your digestion. And I'm sure it helped me a little bit, right? It tamed down my stomach. But I'm not gonna say that cooked foods is the way to go. I mean, if it works for you, great. That's why I tried the bananas and potatoes and wanted to see the difference. And at the end of the day, it was pretty similar,
Hmm.
in healing. So, but I mean, you gotta try everything, right? I mean, I even did water fasting for 4 days,
Wow.
but I'm gonna say I didn't do it correctly. I have to say, I did not prepare myself long enough before I start the water fasting. So I will say I would recommend to always do it with someone who knows
Hmm.
how to do it properly because I've done it by myself. I was watching a documentary. It was with Chris Hemsworth, and I was like, oh, if he did water fasting, I'm just gonna do it too. So I just kind of did maybe 2 days of just raw before I did the water fasting, but it wasn't enough. You need to kind of clean your system before you do water fasting. I would say maybe a week of preparation would have been better for me, right? But 2 days is just not enough. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would
And you've learned a lot on this journey, like your whole health journey in general. If I had to say, like, what are a couple of the biggest things you've learned about health? What would you say comes to mind?
I would say definitely focus more on your mind and body connection.
Mm,
That is, I think, the biggest takeaway from my journey is that we focus so much on the foods, juices, cleanses, fasting. And I'm not saying that's not good. It's definitely incredible and definitely do it. But you need to address your mind and body connection and you need to address your traumas, everything. If you don't deal with that first, all your cleanses and fasting, it's
mm.
good, but it's not going to heal everything.
So
It's
true.
not,
Yeah.
right?
So true. And any tips if somebody wants to get started eating a healthier lifestyle, eating a plant-based lifestyle?
I would say, start it slowly. Don't just I mean, I did cold turkey just because I already took away so many things. So for me it was easier transition to go to vegan lifestyle by just taking away the meat and the eggs. But I would just say add more salads to your diet, right?
Hmm.
Start with every day do a green juice daily, like whatever juice you like, just make a daily habit. So whether it's green juice or ABC juice, just do it daily. Because once you start doing juicing, I find you feel guilty about eating junk food, right? Don't you find it?
Yeah, and you just feel better. Like there's nothing like the
Right.
green juices. Even my mom, and because she passed of the cancer, right? And at the end of her cancer, she got into juicing. So on the days whenever she would have her green juice, she would always say those were her best days. She felt so good. Like it just does something for like our cells, and it raises your frequency. So it makes you just want to pick up then another healthier habit after that and a healthier habit. Like you don't drink a green juice and feel that good. You're on a higher frequency, so you want the higher frequency and higher vibe foods, right? You don't think, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I want to go have some candy or something. It really helps. It really does a lot.
Yeah. So that's why I would just say start with juices daily, just one juice a day, and add more vegetables and fruits to your lifestyle, right? And then slowly you just going to move away and do maybe smaller portions of your meat if if you transitioning to vegan lifestyle, and just do it slowly. Don't go cold turkey like some people do, because then people don't usually last long. They're like, oh, I can't do this after a month, because they put so much pressure. I think it's the pressure, the stress that people put on themselves because they
Yeah,
think they have to succeed, right?
true.
But if you do slowly, it's just more of a accomplishment. You succeed more if you do it slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. And you're very successful and very accomplished when it comes to your garden. Okay. And you don't even live in the tropics and you have one of the most beautiful at-home gardens I've ever seen.
Mhm.
So, any tips for somebody who wants to start out with growing things? I think you grow a lot of sprouts inside, and then you have a
Yeah.
lot of lettuces, herbs, different vegetables in the backyard. And I know when I was there, you said a great tip that I've told a few people and they had no idea where you grow all your greens, your lettuces and stuff. I think you put certain herbs in each corner of that box to keep
Yeah,
insects away, right? I don't think a lot of people know
exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I learned it from other gardeners, right? But yeah, I just actually start doing more and more because I always had herbs, but I never thought to put it in every single corner of the box. And flowers, definitely flowers, to help, to take, to get rid of the insects. So that really it's been helping. But I'm growing. Oh my God, I think there was like over 30 plants in my little boxes that you saw, right? Like there's 8 boxes and I'm growing so much. I mean, I have a video on that too, so if anybody wants to check it out. But it's I mean, we eat through the whole summer until like fall, like almost December we have
Wow.
vegetables. We have lettuce, kale, all of this stuff is until like, November, December. So it's pretty cool. And I mean, the easiest thing you can start with is tomatoes, cucumbers are the easiest to grow. They really are the easiest thing to
And
grow.
it's such a big difference, right? Fresh, picking it from the garden. Don't you notice a big difference versus if
Yeah.
you buy it at the grocery store?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, you don't spray it. I don't spray anything, right? I actually started doing my own fertilizer from dandelion. So that's really, yeah. I heard it from another gardener. So I was like, I'll try it. It's the easiest thing you can do. So then that's what I add to my garden. So you don't even have to. What I'm saying is, you don't even have to spend a lot of money to keep your garden healthy and thriving, right? So, I mean, just make your own fertilizer, just go, like I said, nothing is sprayed in my garden. So you get a lot more nutrition, right, than from the store.
And I think you even make your own bug spray, right? Natural bug spray, like bug repellent that you
Yeah,
make or something. Like you're
yeah,
so creative.
yeah,
Everybody go
yeah.
follow Eva. She has the best Instagram, best YouTube. And you're so humble about
Thank
it. You're just
you.
like, yeah, but
Yeah.
like everything you do is so good.
Oh,
So,
I
okay,
just love doing those things.
Last thing, favorite quote if you have one, and then let everybody know where they can find you, and I'll put it down below so they can go follow you.
What do you think you become? So that's one of my best ones, I think. It's just because your thoughts, if you speak, what do you speak? Most of the time we become, right? If we speak peace, we feel peaceful. If we speak anger and frustration, we're gonna feel that too, right? So I think that's pretty much what I would
That's what you
say.
embody. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And you walk the walk, talk the talk. You're not just out here like, I know it because I know you well. I talk to you a lot. You live this lifestyle. So
I
inside and out.
do.
Good job. Keep it up. And thanks for coming on. First interview ever. You're incredible. You did so great. And I'm just so happy to have you on. Everybody go follow Ava. She's under Splash of Goodness. I'll link her YouTube, Instagram, website with ebooks, everything she has down below. It's truly incredible. So go follow her. Make sure you subscribe. I'll put an amazing video on the screen right now, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.